The story of Fisker is really something worth studying. We all know the Karma, but there is so much depth to this man and this brand that it's really worth talking about and studying. Let's take a look. So, Heinrich Fisker started his career at companies like Aston Martin and Ford, and he was designing some of those. It's kind of probably a reason why they all tend to look pretty similar. And even companies like BMW, he was designing stuff on them. In 2007, he ended up going to Tesla and helped them design the Model S, and then it came out in 2012. In 2005, he was designing his own cars, which, were like these. It was the Fisker coach build, and this is just a BMW 645, and things like this. It was a Mercedes SL55, just kind of different bumpers and wheels and stuff. But in 2007, even when he was still working with the Tesla team, I guess there's an overlap there, he was designing and building his own car, the Fisker Karma. We've all seen them. It's actually a great looking car. When this came out in 2012, I was pretty impressed by it, and I thought it was pretty cool. Great looking car, plug-in hybrid, a lot of ahead of its time on a few things. It had like solar on the roof and stuff. Cool car. But the process of getting this car to market is where Fisker really shows his true skill in this world. And it's not exactly in designing and building cars, it is in raising capital. So with the Fisker, he was basically able to raise $1 billion from private equity, venture capital, and some Hollywood celebrities, but the worst investors of all time even gave him some money. That's right, the US government, the Department of Energy, pledged to give him $528 million to get this car to market because green energy is so good and all that good stuff. He failed on a few promises, so he didn't end up getting all of the money, but there was a significant investment from the federal government. In 2013, the company went belly up, and he left the company, it went bankrupt, and they actually ended up selling to China. And it's pretty interesting because the Karma still exists. This is the Karma Vivero, and it is currently being produced by a Chinese company for $130,000, and it's actually pretty nice. They eliminated some of the ugly front bumper stuff, and it's a pretty nice looking car. And as that company was getting stripped down and sold to China for parts, he was with, another company, Galpin, redesigning the Ford Mustang. This is just they took the Mustang at the time and they were like, let's Fiskerify it, and they put a giant grill on it and tried to make it all jazzed up. Very classic Fisker style. But again, this guy doesn't rest. So in 2016, he launched another company, VLF, with a former GM and a former Boeing executive, and they designed a few cars, one of them being the Force One. This is the Force One. So they bought Vipers. This is the V10 Viper of the time, the Gen 5 Viper, and they Fiskerified them, which is clearly his style. It's actually pretty nice on the outside. Like, it looks pretty cool. They even put some, a thing to hold like bottles of liquor in there, some champagne bottles. They plan to produce 50 of them, and a total of 5 of them rolled off the assembly line. That company just kind of fizzled out, done with that, so he's moving on. He's starting now Fisker Inc. in 2016, basically the same time he started the last company, and he's just rolling, just guy doesn't slow down, just keeps on moving. And he started Fisker Inc., and this time he enacted his immense skills at raising money to raise, $50+ million, but he tried a different tactic this time. He decided to go public on the New York Stock Exchange, and they were trading in 2020 at a high of $24. Now you can get that stock for a total of 9 cents because it's about to disappear, and the company has went bankrupt in just started in 2016, it's bankrupt in 2024, so he's almost made it 10 years, this guy. But they did manage to build and produce a vehicle. This time he tried something a little different. He came out with the Fisker Ocean, which is kind of like a mid-size SUV. It's actually a pretty nice looking car. Again, it has that like Aston Martin, that kind of look to it. It's very Fisker designed. It's very clear. They had 63,000 pre-orders, and they were able to deliver 10,000 vehicles. Now, these vehicles are kind of something people are scared of. There's a couple people buying them, but, people are kind of scared. I mean, would you want to own a car that they just went bankrupt? They only delivered 10,000 of them. It's a little scary, so kind of an odd deal. And his story is even crazier than that. There's lawsuits. There's, he was suing back and forth with Tesla, Aston Martin lawsuits, like across the board, there's just craziness. But the one thing I keep seeing in this story is the man is already on his next company before the other ones even failed. I don't know what he's doing right now, but I don't almost guarantee he's got another company fired up and going, because he doesn't slow down. He's either suing somebody, he's either designing a car, or he's starting another company. But he just keeps pushing through, and people keep giving him money for it. So he must be doing something right. I don't know. It's a crazy situation, but Fisker, just out here.